everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Meredith E. Phillips. We are in the final stretch, okay? I might be so audacious to say we're gonna finish the book like in this vlog. I know, I'm excited. If you watched the last vlog, or it wasn't even a vlog, it was just me being like, hello, here is an update. I am working my way through line edits. I am having great success with the methods. I'm going to try to give you some examples of like the types of things I'm finding and switching around just to show you like what I'm doing. We'll get to that in a minute. I have so much I need to get done this weekend. It's not just the line edits and the proofread. And that's the other thing too, is after I finish this pass of line edits, I want to go back, put the book in like a PDF form or whatever and put it on my Kindle and read it that way as like a final proofread. We'll get to that in the next couple days. I have so much stuff I need to do. I have a checklist. We actually made a checklist. So I've got writing related stuff and then personal stuff. Like I need to go to the grocery store tonight. I got to do laundry, blah, 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 blah. We have an appointment with our tax lady on Tuesday the 11th. I have nothing compiled. I need to, I got like my W-2 in the mail like a month ago and now I'm like, I need to like print out all the other account reports and blah, 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 blah. I gotta find all of the things. So wish me luck on that. I gotta do that this weekend. I also have the query package critique. I need to compile the materials for that and send it over to Marina so that she can actually, you know, do the critique. That'll probably be helpful for her. Everything is pretty much done. Like, I might reread the query and synopsis one more time, but you know I went through those like 10,000 times already, so I don't know that there's anything I'm gonna find to fix. I just have to like pull it all together, put it in Word documents, you know, format it all pretty and send it over. So that shouldn't take too long. I just need to do it. And then the other big thing this past week that started was the line editing class I signed up for through the EFA, the Editor Freelance Association. I'm planning to do a whole like video vlog review thing of that class. So I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail here about that. That will come later in April once the class is done. But it is like a live class with an instructor. So you're supposed to go through like the weekly materials each week. And then there's like a homework assignment at the end and stuff like that. So I've gone through the actual class materials for week 1 and I need to get to the assignment. So I've got to fit that in. I don't have to do that this weekend. It's due by Wednesday. So I could push that off a little bit, but I'd like to at least, you know, look it over and kind of see what's going on. So got that too. It's only just about 9 o'clock, right? Yeah, 9:15. I got up at like 5:30 this morning. I needed to sleep in a little bit. Oh my gosh, that's the other thing. I have been so tired this whole week. Like, I'm usually just tired, but this has been like, my eyes are falling closed at like 3 in the afternoon. I had coffee in the middle of the afternoon yesterday. Unheard of for me. So I might take a nap at like 2 or 3 this afternoon if I am really struggling, but we'll see how it goes. Hopefully I won't need to. But I did get up at 5:30 this morning. I came back here and I worked through chapter 17. Which chapter did I do? 18. I worked my way through chapter 18. It was a relatively short chapter, so it took me maybe an hour to go through that one. I am technically a little bit behind, and this is stupid. It's just my little checklist I showed you last time. I have dates by which I'm supposed to finish certain chapters. This is completely my own thing. It has nothing to do with anything real. So it's not, you know, if I need to bump this an extra day or something, nobody's going to care except me. So I'm not like super concerned about that, but I am 2 chapters behind. I think I can make that up this weekend. I'll have obviously, you know, a lot more time on the weekend than I do during the normal work days. And I think we're just going to go ahead and jump into it. I'll show you kind of the flow. I've gotten into a good flow as I'm going through these chapters. So I'll show you like, what am I looking for specifically, and some examples of little things I've been changing. But like I said in the last video, I have been cutting like 50 to 100 words out of each one of these chapters, which is fantastic because that's exactly what I need to do in order to get it down, you know, to a a reasonable word count. It wasn't unreasonable. It had gotten up to like 91-ish, a little over 91,000 words in the previous draft. And it's back under 90,000 at this point. So I'm doing great. I'm really pleased with how this is going so far, but let's go ahead and get into it. Hi. We have a visitor. She's just being a little cozy girl. She's been awake since 5:20, screaming her head off. She's been waking up so early. I don't know why. And then she just, like, we take her out to go potty and then put her back in her bed because it's 5:20 in the morning. And she just sits in there and whines until like 6:30 when it's actually time for her to get up. But she's a little troublemaker. Whoa, look at her little face though. So with this line editing, I've done this in sort of like two separate ways. The first thing I did is I tried to look at the manuscript as a whole, and I looked for specific things that I was fairly certain I didn't have all that often, and so it was easiest just to look at like the entire thing all in one go. So for example, and I'm using these like Google Docs. I linked them last time. I'll link them below again. These have been so incredibly helpful. I've used other stuff too, but this is the main thing I'm kind of going off of. So like one of the things in this document are words that are frequently either misused or confused with a different word. So things like accept and accept, right? Like those are two different words. They mean different things, but it's a common thing. That one is one where I was like, I know the difference between those two words. I would be shocked if I misused them, so I'm not going to look for that. But then there were other ones where I was like, okay, I usually know the difference, but like, let me just check real quick. So like affect and effect, I looked for that. Blonde with no E, blonde with an E. I had to look up, remember like, wait, what's the supposed difference there? So I looked for that. Farther and further, I looked through that to make sure I had used them correctly. Lay, lie, laid, all those ones, I looked for those. She has a whole big list in this document with all kinds of different whose versus whose, there, and there, your and your. Like, I know those ones, and again, I didn't check for those because if I misused a there in here, I would be horrifically embarrassed for myself. So like some of these I was not going to go through and check for because I was very confident I have them correct. But there were others where I was like, let me just check real quick. So I did that kind of thing, and I was looking just at the whole document here in Scrivener. The one that shocked me, I talked about this last time, that I used too often was that. There's a bunch of times you use that where you do need it. It is necessary, but I definitely had it in instances where I could just delete it. So I went through the whole manuscript and deleted a bunch of that's. I did the same thing for just. That's a big crutch word for a lot of people. I'm super aware of just, so I forget how many I had. I had a good number of justs. Sometimes you do need it, or it helps with the flow of the sentence, or it sounds like that's how the character would say it. And so there are definitely plenty of times I left it in there, but there were other times where I could either just plain remove it, or I could change something else in the sentence to make it unnecessary. I also looked for and then. She did this and then they went and did this. A lot of times you can just have it be and, or you can have it be then. You rarely, I think, need both. Every now and then I found that the sentence just flowed better, in my opinion, with both of them and then together. So there were instances where I left it, but most of those I was able to delete. So I went through the whole manuscript looking for all this stuff. Then I got into the chapter by chapter stuff, and I have that's what my little note cards here are for. So as I'm going through these chapters, I'm again doing this in like a kind of workflow to make it easier for myself. The first thing I'm doing is I'm looking for words that are overused. I made a list of words for myself that I know I use too often, and I found a really cool search function within Scrivener. I had no idea what this meant for the longest time, but I'll show you because I'm finding this super helpful to quickly highlight a bunch of words within Scrivener. So let me show you. Okay, so here we are in chapter 19, and if you go up to the search bar at the top of the Word doc, and you type in rain, it will go through and highlight any instance of rain that you have in this manuscript. I don't have it that many times. That is with the search keyed to all words. So it's looking at anything. So it'll highlight rain, it'll highlight raining, it'll highlight rainy. Anything where R-A-I-N shows up in sequence, it'll highlight that. If you say whole word, it'll only highlight rain as a word. It will not highlight raining, rainy, etc. There's another function on here. It is RegEx. Do you guys know about this? I completely ignored this because I was like, I don't know what that means. I forget where I even saw this described. Some website somewhere. Because what I was doing initially was I was going through and I was searching every single chapter one at a time for only, very, surely, look, gaze, no, new, even. Like, it was taking a long time to search every single one of these words, scroll through the whole chapter, and then go back to the beginning and search the next word. So I was like, okay, is there a way to like highlight all of these at one time? Yes, there is. And it is this function here. So what you do, there's a bunch, okay, also let me just say, there's a bunch of things that you can do with this RegEx feature. I found one way to use it, and that's the way I'm using it. It functions, I think, kind of like, it feels very much like an Excel formula. There are certain characters and certain ways you can input information here, and it will find things in that manner. So the one that I learned was if you put words in that you're searching for, and you divide them with the vertical line symbol, it'll highlight all of them all at the same time. So I have all of the words I'm looking for in one little line, and all I'm doing is I'm copying it in here, and it will highlight every single time that word, one of those words shows up. Now, the only thing that I haven't figured out is how to make it search for these words. Like what it's doing right now, like one of the words I'm searching for is even, but it will highlight evening or event because even is in there, right? I haven't figured out how to only make it search for this whole word, but it's still like, this is still so much easier than looking for each individual word. So that's what I do to start. The next thing I do is I search for the whole word so. I have this so many times, most of the time. I can almost always eliminate a few so's. I search for to, like the verb to, or I guess sometimes it's a preposition, right? To, her, yeah. So I have this a ton of times. Obviously, to is a very common verb. There's a lot of times where you can change it to make it stronger, make it more, give it more of an impact. So I search for that. When I'm doing these individual searches, I'm searching for, I'm like scanning through to look at the highlighted pieces. I'm not reading through the whole chapter every single time. I'm just jumping from one highlight to the next. The next thing I do is I do ly, and I make that any word. And that highlights anytime you have ly next to each other, which typically is the end of a word, and it's typically an adverb, sometimes an adjective. And we know everybody hates adverbs. I don't hate adverbs that much, but there are definitely times where I can remove one or change the verb so it's a stronger verb, right? And so when I get to this point in my pass through the chapter, this is where I'm reading every single sentence and I am deciding, can this be said a different way? Do I need to use all these words? Is there a prepositional phrase I can get rid of because it's implied, or we can figure it out and we don't need to explicitly state it? And as I'm going through, I'm looking at the ly highlights to see, like, can I delete this or whatever? The thing about this is it's so incredibly subjective. There's times where I leave the word only in its place because I like how it sounds and I think it is how I want it to be. Whereas other people might look at it and be like, oh no, I would delete it, or I would change the sentence to read like this or whatever. So there's not like a right or wrong way to do this. It very much is going to be dependent on your voice as an author, as a writer. And I'm sure there's you know, if I went through some of these chapters again on a different day, I might change it to something different. I don't know, but I'm just doing my best. I'm trying to delete as much of these problem words and phrases as possible without compromising the integrity of the story or the voice. So I'm going to get to work. I'm going to pull out a few examples in this chapter, and then we'll talk about them and like what I changed, why I changed it at the end. Wish me luck. I'm going to pull up my freaking Stay the Night in the Deku Tree. This, I swear, this plaything, this video on YouTube, N64 at Night, shout out to them, because I've listened to this whole thing so many times. It's just perfect. It's like rain noises, and it's the Deku Tree from Ocarina of Time, like, which is very like tonal and just sort of like chill and mellow. It's the perfect background music. So let me get started, and I'll check in with you later with some examples of what I'm doing. Okay, oh my goodness. This took me for freaking ever. It's almost noon. It's fine. This started at 3,833 words. So it was a chonker, okay? It was a chonker. I got it down to 3,713 words, which is pretty dang good. That's over 100 words cut out of this. I've read through it a bunch of times, and I am now done with it. Done. I'm going to take a little break, get something to eat for lunch, as per usual. I'm going to the store later, so there's nothing really here. We'll scrounge up something. Then, I don't know, we'll get back to this. I can't believe it took me that long. And I was, like, working. I took a few little Instagram breaks, okay, to be honest. But also, I was, like, dialed in the vast majority of the time. Let me check this off my list. I'm going to get lunch, and then we'll come back and I'll show you some examples of like the types of things that I was tightening up. Okay, I'm back from lunch. Let me pull up some examples of what I'm doing here so that you can kind of get an idea of the types of little changes I'm making, but that are having a big impact on the book as a whole. Remember also, like I said, this is very subjective. So you might find that for one of these examples, you think the original version is better for whatever reason. That's fine. I'm not changing it back, but you know, we can only do our best. So this is what I've come up with. This is from chapter 12. All right, so in this first example, I'm just reducing or like tightening up the verb here. So this is the original version over on this side, and then this is the revised version. So I changed he had been studying the list of ways to he studied the list of ways. We can just shorten that up. You could argue that I could delete this already here at the end. He had crossed off quite a few, like that could be fine. I liked how it sounded with already involved. Oh, I found a lot of times where I use trying to. He was trying to do this or whatever, and it's like you can just delete the trying to. So that's what I did here. He found himself purposefully trying to goad the words of praise from her. You can just say he found himself purposefully goading words of praise from her. The end. This one was just like too many words. Like, what was I doing? He still hadn't come to a conclusion about how to explain why he wanted blah, 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 blah. Let's reduce that to he still hadn't resolved how to explain why he wanted. Done. Now, another word I'm looking for often is still. There's a lot of times you can remove still from a sentence. In this case, I liked it. It fit with the portion that came before it, so I kept it in this instance. Maybe you would delete it. That would be for you to decide. Here's an example of where I removed a prepositional phrase because it's like obvious what we're talking about here. So he took the coat from her hands and held it open for her. And I shortened it to he took the coat from her and held it open. this extra for her at the end, like we know he's holding it open. There's no one else in the room. Who's he holding it open for? Himself? No, he's not going to put on her coat. He's holding it open for her. So you can just delete it. You can just delete that. So that's what I did. Oh, I also deleted from her hands because that also, like in the previous sentence, she picks up the coat and he takes it from her so he can like help put it on or whatever. And so you don't need to say again, like we know she's the one holding it, so we don't need to specify where he's taking it from. So I removed hands because we know that. Here's one I changed because it was anachronistic. I was reading along and I got to this section where he's saying, but he chalked it up to nerves. And I was like, wait a minute, chalked it up is like a cliched phrase. And I was like, when did that come into use? Like, where did that come from? So then I'm like looking up the etymology of this phrase and I forget what exactly I found. I think it was starting to become a thing people said in like the 1870s. My book takes place in 1811. So I didn't want to use that. So I changed it to, he assumed it was nerves. Okay, last one. This is another phrasing that I use a lot, and it's just like, you don't need to do this. The original sentence was, Christopher glanced at her briefly and placed his hand over hers before turning to face the unwelcome guest. I changed it to blah, 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 before facing the unwelcome guest. I use this turning to a lot. He turned to look at her. He turned to stand up. Everybody's turning. Nobody needs to turn that much. You can just delete it. You can just delete it. So that's the kind of thing I'm looking for here and that I'm changing. And you might be like, that's so small, or like, it's just like 1 or 2 words. But when you're going through your chapters and every couple of paragraphs, there's 1 or 2 words you can delete in a 2,000, 2,500, 3,000 word scene, like those words add up. I'm like I said, I'm cutting a lot out of these and I'm not losing any content. I'm not losing the authorial voice or anything like that. It's all here. It's just tighter and cleaner. I'm going to go ahead to chapter 20. This one's another long one. Oh my gosh, this one is long. Oh my gosh, it's 3,700 words exactly. So that's probably going to take me another like 2 hours to go through. Oh my gosh, it's fine. Let's get started. That took me way longer. Oh my gosh, that took me way longer than I was expecting. It was a chunky chapter. I started at 3,700 words. We're down to 3,600 essentially. I'm now caught up to where I should be if I want to finish this in the days I gave myself. That's fine. I will give myself an extra day. It's okay. Yeah, so I'm going to keep going. It's 20 till 4. I should change out the laundry. I did throw some laundry in a little earlier. When I did the coffee, I threw some laundry in. So let me change that over real quick. What am I having for dinner? Oh, I remember. Okay. I have about an hour and a half before I have to start dinner. I don't know if I'm going to get through all of chapter 21. I think 21 is also kind of chunky. 2,600 words. Maybe I can do that in an hour and a half. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. Let me go do the laundry swap out and then we'll be back to this. All right. It is 4:51. I have finished chapter 21. I cut out about 100 words, so that's very good. I am going to go ahead and it's a little early, but I'm going to go ahead and get dinner started. I need to go to the grocery store tonight, so I have to eat dinner as soon as my husband gets home from work. He is back to work, by the way. Finally, after a month of no work. It's fine. Yeah, he's back. So I have to wait for him to come home so I can use the car to go to the grocery store, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I need to be done eating before he gets home so I can go immediately. I should have a little bit of time to come back here and work more on this next chapter. I don't know if I'll have enough time to finish it. We'll see. The next chapter is a little bit longer. It's 3,100 words at the moment. I think we can cut it down though, so we'll get to that here in a little bit, but let me go get dinner started. That coffee did help. I was fading, but I'm doing okay for the moment. So let's go and do all those things I just said. Hey everyone, good morning. It is almost 9 o'clock and I've been awake for a very long time. So here's what happened. Long story short, I forgot it was daylight savings time starting today, which means the clocks went forward. So I woke up and I looked at my phone and my phone said 4:55 and I was like, that's a little early. I had set my alarm for 5:30 because I was like, I want to get up, come back here, try to get through, some other portion of a chapter early in the morning. So it's like, it's only 35 minutes early. I guess I'll just get up. I get up, I go to the bathroom, I go out to the kitchen. My phone said 5 o'clock, 5 a.m. I get out to the kitchen and the coffee maker said 4 a.m. And I was like, that's weird. I was like, did the power flicker off and like it got reset or something? Oh, wait. It's daylight savings. So my body thinks it's 4 in the morning, even though everything sprung forward and it's technically now 5 in the morning. I got about 5 hours of sleep, which is about an hour or two less than my normal 6 to 7. I'm a little tired, as one might expect. I did, however, and I was like, well, I'm up, so I guess I'm just going to be up. So I got my coffee. I came back here. I got through another whole chapter this morning, which was great. And did I get through a whole chapter? Hold on. Did I just start one? What did I do this morning? Did I actually do good work? No, I didn't. I got through a portion of chapter 23, but I also compiled all of the query package materials and sent those off to the editor, Marina, who's going to review it all. So she has that. I sent it at 5:30 in the morning or something stupid. And then I've been working through this mess. I also realized yesterday, as I was going through another chapter last night, that's the other thing. I did get through another chapter last night. I came back here and did some work and got through another chapter. But I'm basically going through these chapters 4 separate times, which is a little crazy. I'm doing the mass search function for a bunch of those crutch words, very, even, only, that kind of stuff. I'm doing that all in one pass. Then I'm going through and I'm looking for so's. So this, so that, and then I'm going through again and I'm looking for to's, T-O, because a lot of times you can reduce that or fiddle with it to get rid of it. And then I'm going through it one last time where I'm reading every single line and looking for any other little pieces that can be clarified, cleaned up, reduced in size, etc. So that's maybe why it's taking so long. But that's what I was doing earlier this week. I don't know. I'm just trying to get through it. The next couple chapters here, though, are a lot shorter. That second act, man, I swear all of those chapters were 3,000 plus words. And there's a bunch of chapters coming up here that are 1,500, 1,800, 2,000. They're not quite as long and involved. So hopefully I'll be able to get through more chapters today than I did yesterday. But before I sit down, I wanted to show off, I don't know if you can see it very good. I'll try to show it better some other way. But I did want to point out my shirt because it is for a coffee company. It's a small woman-owned business. She lives up in Dallas and it's called Binky Bun Coffee. She sells coffee, and a portion of the proceeds each month goes to support a different rabbit rescue somewhere in the US. And so I love that, obviously. And we've bought coffee from her on numerous occasions and enjoyed all of them. And recently she came out with merch, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go buy some merch. So she has these cute little like sweatshirts. They are super soft inside and they're really cozy. She also has t-shirts. I'm wearing the t-shirt also, but it's underneath. It's like a baby pink color. So she's only got one color right now for each of them. So it's the gray sweatshirts and the pink t-shirts. And so anyway, I bought the merch and it arrived and I was like, oh my gosh, it's so cute. About a week later though, I got an email where it was like, hey, how are you enjoying your purchase? Like rate the stuff, right? I almost never do that because like I'm just not gonna take the time to do it. But because this is a small business and I really like how she supports rabbit rescues and all that kind of stuff, I was like, I'll rate it because I know that helps the business, whatever. So I did the little like click through your star rating, leave a review, whatever. And when I got to the end, it was like, thank you so much for your review. Use this link to share with family and friends and they'll get $5 off their purchase and you'll get like a $5 credit on my account. I'm not really sure how it works, but if you want to check out Binky Bun Coffee, you can get $5 off your order. I'll put the link. There's like a link you can use or there's a coupon code you can use. So I'll put both of those in the description if you want to check it out. The coffee I think is really well priced personally. So anyway, just a little shout out for them. This is not sponsored, not affiliated, blah, 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 blah. But I was like, that's cool. It didn't say anything in the email like fill out the survey and you'll get a coupon code or whatever. It was just like fill out the survey if you want. So I did, and I was rewarded. So anyway, you can also be rewarded by getting $5 off if you want. Let me sit down and get to work, get through this next chapter, and then go to the next one, I guess. That's what we're doing today. Okay, I'm definitely moving along better than yesterday, but these are shorter chapters, so it's nice going through a 1,700 word chapter instead of a 3,400 word chapter. It's a little afternoon. I'm going to take a quick lunch break and be back to this. We'll see how far I can get. I'm still according to my little checklist timeline here, I'm still working through the chapters I was supposed to finish yesterday. It doesn't really matter, but I'd like to get at least another 2 or 3 done after lunch. Okay, lunch is over. It is about 12:35. I have moved from the deco tree to the top of the Temple of Time in Tears of the Kingdom for my background ambiance. So let's go. I'm just trucking through these chapters, you guys. Deleting prepositional phrases, fixing crap. Let's keep going. So this is the part of videos that I usually cut out because I just do the little like sped up montages most of the time. But I was watching through this to see what to cut and I was like, you spend so much time just like getting yourself settled in this dang chair. What am I whispering in this opening section? What is happening? I make an absolutely epic throw into the trash can. I'm rearranging stuff on the desktop, and then you will witness in real time as I realize that it is an absolute necessity to figure out when my heroine's menstrual cycle is for the entirety of the book. Was that necessary? Debatable, but we charted it. So just so everyone knows, it is canon. Now back to your regularly scheduled video. All right, it is 3:40. I am on chapter 27. I just finished 26. We have a little visitor. She woke up early. I'm going to try to go through this. This one's only 1,800 words long. I'm going to try to get through this one in maybe like an hour. And then probably break for the day. I did do a bunch of chapters today, and I have been up since quite early. Let me try to get through this, and then I might be done. We'll see. I need to start editing this vlog too. I have a lot to do. Let's keep going. One more chapter. It's 1,800 words. It's not that long. The next one is longer. It's more like 2,500 words. So I don't know if we're gonna get to that, but yeah, let's get through this last one. All right, this final chapter for the day had started at 1874 words, and it is down to 1773. I cut out 101 words from one chapter. Am I a genius? Yeah, I'm doing good. Doing good. I am, though, fried. Officially fried. So I'm going to put this aside for today. Did I say yesterday, see, this is why I need to edit vlog footage like the day of, because I forget what I said yesterday. Did I say that I was going to keep vlogging until I was done? I might be so audacious to say we're going to finish the book like in this vlog. I don't know if I need to do that. I'm just going to sit here and edit this. I'm just going to sit here for the next like 2 or 3 days and keep doing this. I have 10 chapters left, right? I'm on 28. There's 38 chapters plus the epilogue. But that's so short. I'm almost not even counting that. But yeah, I've got 10 chapters plus the epilogue left. I'm just going to sit here and do it. I don't think I need to vlog that necessarily. And then I still have the final proofread after this, because I have on multiple occasions like gone through where I'm looking for crutch words or adverbs or so and things like that, where I'm looking individually and then I'm changing stuff as I go. And then when I go back to the beginning and read through the chapter as a whole, I find goofy spots where I've used like the same word in back-to-back sentences, or I've used while instead of which, and it like doesn't make sense. So anyway, I still want to go back through and look for just like little typos and make sure like subject verb agreement. That was another thing that's like getting messed up sometimes. So I do need to go back after I'm done with the line edits and do a final proofread, and then I'm going to be done. If all goes well, I think I should be able to finish by the end of this week. Like when you're seeing this vlog, this should be done, hopefully. I'm so ready to be done. But thank you for following along this weekend. I'll be back next weekend with something. Are we gonna start brainstorming a new project? Maybe. I'm not sure. I'll have to wait. Like, I don't think I'm gonna have that query package critique stuff back by next weekend, so I don't think I'll be able to actually start querying quite yet. Maybe we'll do some brainstorming. Oh, that'll be fun. That'll be very different. Wow. But we'll get to that later. Let's finish this first. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, you could click the subscribe button if you wanted. I mean, you don't have to, but you could. I usually post videos on Fridays. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye.